Hey everybody, Vulcan here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a 1 to 20 leveling and then also a farming guide, I guess you could say, for the Necromancer. Um, it's my preferred farming class out of all of the available classes right now. The reason why I prefer the Necromancer is mostly just because of the healing abilities that it has. Um, Being able to get really awesome heals off of larger mobs is really great. I think you can really heal up for a whole lot more than even a priest can do. So while priests they do have more predictable heals, but they can't heal the same amounts that necromancers can. Necromancers really don't have like a limit to the amount of health that they can heal, while priests do. You know, they have a hard limit based on their ability. Whereas necros, they're getting heals from all of the mobs that they're stealing health from. So when you get, you know, obviously the very first starter skull and even like the first tier 1, tier 2, well, those aren't the greatest skulls for getting heals off of like a single target. If you are getting good positioning on multiple targets, you can get some really awesome heals off. And then as you get better skulls, you're going to get better heals. And even on single targets, when you're getting into like the tier 3 or tier 4 skulls, when you're getting into those, then you can get some really awesome heals off. So just because of those, you know, those combined facts about the Necro, that's just why I personally prefer it over other classes. Let's see, another of the more popular, I guess, overall farming classes would be the Wizard. Just the ability to... The spells are really strong if you can land, you know, quite a few of the projectiles. I think you can do somewhere around like 2,000 damage to a single target if you can land the entire spell bomb with some of the higher tiered spells. So that's a crazy amount of damage. You know, that'll drop even like even the hardest gods right now. Even Leviathans, I think you can take one out if you can aim a decent leveled spell on them. So yeah, you know, those are some awesome... It's an awesome class to use, but I can't aim it very well, I guess, is my problem. And I just don't enjoy that class as much. It doesn't feel as much fun to me as some of the other classes, so I don't really play it that much. I think I had like 2 stars on it at the character selection screen. It's an alright class, you know, it's definitely not a bad class, but it's just not the class for me, so I don't play it. Definitely give it a try though. You know, I always recommend trying out all of the classes, you know, not just 1 or 2 of the classes. You know, and I really don't like saying what I think is the best class, because I really don't think that there is an overall best class. Well, actually, I would say that Necromancer, or not Necromancer, either Rogue or Wizard really are, like, the overall best classes, just because of their ability to do, they do have, their abilities allow them to do so very much compared to other classes that don't really have as much wiggle room, I guess you could say, as they do. You know, Rogue's obviously becoming invisible to everything. While that's a great ability, you're really putting yourself in a lot of danger if other people come around, especially at events and things like that, you know. If someone pulls the main skull's ability or shot, if that gets aimed at you and you aren't paying attention to the area around you, and suddenly a knight comes in behind you and then gets that skull's shots attacked, you know, shot at you, and then that's really gonna hurt, and you can definitely die from that if you're not paying attention. So definitely watch out for that. This is one of the things that I was worried about. I don't like it when people follow me around personally, just because, you know, obviously for the purpose of this video I can't really show it off as well, show off the class's ability because I have someone following me, but yeah, just ignore him. Let's see, okay, I think he's gone. Is he gone? Is he gone? Yeah, okay. We're cool. We're cool. No offense, but, you know, it's just how it is, especially once I get out into the Godlands. I'm thinking once I hit, like, 6 or 7, that's when I'd like to go out. into the Godlands. The Necromancer is definitely a squishy class, but if you're being careful and you keep an eye on your surroundings and you're with someone that you think you can trust, or a large group of people, then you can definitely do very well out in the Godlands without having to worry about too much. So yeah. Ooh, there's a nice amount of goblins right around here. So that'll definitely get me up to level 6. And then I'll go ahead and teleport out into the Godlands now. I should be fine. You know, find a good sized group of people. Try and get your surroundings as early as possible, because if you don't know which direction you're gonna want to run in when mobs start coming at you from all different angles. So definitely be careful of that. I wouldn't recommend hanging out with a rogue, just because, one, I personally, if I'm a rogue, I don't want people following me around when I'm trying to play out in the Godlands, just because it is, especially if I'm leveling a rogue, you know, of all the classes, their ability, if you want to use your ability, you really have to be careful. And if other people are around you, they're going to be pulling shots, and you really can't just track all the people around you. So it can be pretty hard sometimes trying to pay attention to what everything's going on around you. So if you're soloing out in the Godlands when you're trying to level as a rogue especially, it just makes things so much easier. You know, you're not being distracted trying to pay attention to this group of people around you while you're trying to circle around and try and get behind. You know, it just doesn't really work all that well. So yeah. But for Necromancer, just as I'm trying to get leveled up here, there's some really good experience coming from these guys. It doesn't seem like it, you know, 65 experience, well, I could get that from a couple of quest bosses, you know, easily, but just the sheer number, especially if you can get like a good group, you can get some really good experience off. But you really do have to wait, you know, coming out here at level 1 or level 2 really isn't the best idea, just because you're really not going to be getting a good amount of experience for the amount of danger that you're putting yourself into. It's just not worth it. Another thing is, obviously, you can get into dungeons. Undead layers are like probably the best, I think, for getting experience. Just when you compare the amount of difficulty to the amount of experience that you gain. Once you learn the mobs that you do find in an undead layer, it's not too terribly bad. What you'll come across, most things you'll be able to predict how they're coming at you when you're going around a corner. What you definitely want to watch out for in an undead layer are slimes and the vampires. You know, slimes can easily catch you off guard, and then you'll just get blasted by all the little slimes, or all the big slimes even. So it can be pretty crazy if you're not careful. So definitely be careful, you know, obviously, when you're going around a corner. He just got hit really hard by all the little mummies. You definitely want to watch out for them as well. They can put out, especially the ones with the crowns on their head, they can put out a whole lot of damage onto you, just because they do shoot so rapidly. They really do create, see, that's one thing I don't like about Mystics, is their ability. It's a nice ability when used properly, but was stasising that one skeleton, that really weak minion mob skeleton, really worth a stasis? It wasn't. And then he died because he didn't have the stasis ability to use on the harder mob that was around the corner. You know, so like these guys, stasising them would have been a whole lot beneficial to me, obviously, because I just got, you know, half my health taken away and quieted by them. You know, so there's better ways to use their ability, and if you're not careful with it, then you can really, you know, obviously you don't have that ability, you can't rely on it like I can rely on mine. Well, I do have a pretty cheap skull right now, but you know, you just gotta be careful when you're playing Mystic. And it's really easy to make people mad, especially once you get into like higher level areas, just because people are think you're just messing with them, really, when you start stasising, you know, gods when they really shouldn't be stasised at all. So yeah, definitely watch out for that if you want to play Mystic. You know, I'm not saying don't play Mystic. I'm just saying if you are going to play Mystic, just be careful with it. You know, don't use it when there's a large group of enemies coming at you, but you're not going to be able to take them all on. So then you just want to kind of space them out a little, you know, get them separated. That's when you want to use their ability. So then you can take on half the mob while the other half is stasis, you know. It's making it so much easier. And you're putting your, you know, you really don't put yourself in as much danger. And then also at events like the Cube God, it's a great ability to have, you know, being able to stasis off large groups of enemies. Okay, that was kind of sketchy, just because he's got one of the lower leveled orbs, I didn't realize. But, you know, this is another good, this is it's a good situation, but a bad one at the same time, just because he doesn't have the amount of time that I would, I'm getting a little bit of lag. It doesn't last quite as long as I wish it would, you know, so you gotta be careful, watch them and make sure that they don't come out too soon out of their stasis. So yeah, I guess I should probably be talking more about Necromancer, huh? Let's see, it's a staff using class, so you do have some really good range on it, which is obviously really nice. You're distancing yourself from the battle, from the danger, I guess. So that's a good aspect about having a staff, whereas, you know, you're not a dagger class like a rogue, you're not a, obviously a melee class, which really has to get in close. Oh, this is getting kind of sketchy, I don't know about this. Yeah, you definitely want to be careful. Okay, it's okay. I got heal of 13 off of Septavius, it's all good. Yeah, let's see here. The best time to pull heals is definitely when he is, spawning minions. Like right now, I should be getting out of here, because this attack is nearly impossible to dodge, and it does do quiet to you, and that's definitely a pain. You know, you don't have that. Right after this is when he does his minion phase, and so I won't have the MP I need to get heals off if I do want to get a heal. So you gotta be careful and watch out for that. See, this is a really good time to use the stasis, actually, because he's separating off the mobs from the main boss, and he's letting us concentrate on other mobs and on the boss himself, so that we don't have to fight his minions during that time. I'm not really expecting to get any kind of soulbound right now, obviously, just because I am using such a weak staff, and I can't get as many hits in as I'd like to. But yeah, this is a good example. Ouch. See, that's why I tend to stay out of those, because they do, especially if you have very little defense, they do quite a bit of damage, so yeah, it's kind of sketchy if you're trying to stand there. And I guess it is possible if you can keep an eye on all the little projectiles coming at you, if you can find a way to get through the pattern. But for me, it's just not worth the risk at this level and at this amount of defense that I have. You know, I just can't really effectively do it all that well. Let's see, he should be dying pretty soon. Yep, there we go. I got a soulbound at least. Sub-def. That'll be really useful, especially as a rogue using class. You know, I can definitely make use of that extra 6 defense. It's the same amount. Same amount as the robe I have right now, so that'll definitely help me out in the long run. For now, although you know, obviously a Doombow would have been great, but that's okay. I think I'll live this time. Yeah, you know, once you do kill Septavius, the dungeon really isn't over. There's still a lot of experience to be had, and really, Undead Layers do give some pretty good tiered equipment. You know, it's definitely not a bad dungeon to get just equipment off of even, and as well as equipment, obviously the experience as well. Even one of those guys, I don't know how much he gave me, but he got me a level up, so let's see here. 60 experience, you know, off of one of those guys, that's really good, really. So, you know, it's great experience, and you get the gear. You know, what's not to like? And I know it also drops decent skulls, you know, obviously. It's an Undead Layer, better drop a skull. Nothing untiered. See, the only untiered skull I know of that's released right now is the cracked crystal skull, and it's a good skull, but it's really not a good skull at all. The amount of MP it uses up, it really isn't worth it. What it does is it has a really huge radius area of effect. There's a skull right there. Speak of the devil. it has this huge area of effect, so you can get some decent heals in from that, but it really doesn't heal for all that much, and the amount of MP it uses up just for a heal, it isn't worth it. You know, you're using so much MP, so much just for one heal, that you don't have, you can get better heals and off of smaller mobs if you're careful. You know, if you can't aim the ability, I guess then that would be the skull for you. But really, you shouldn't be having too much trouble aiming, considering that it goes exactly where you want it and it spreads out from there. You know, so yeah. You know, if you can't aim these, then maybe this isn't the best class for you. Yeah. So I got a new skull. I don't really need to use it too much here. I wouldn't mind a new staff. Obviously everything else I have right now is pretty decent, but I wouldn't mind a new staff. But you know, even though this is like tier 2, tier 3 or something like that, I can put out a whole lot of damage with it, and from a decent range too. So that's another reason why staff users are really actually pretty good. You know, and I'm shooting out 2 bullets as well, you know, that's awesome as well. You know, I'm doing 20 to 40 times 2, really, so that's another reason why staffs are awesome, especially for farming. Let's see, yeah. I already covered Wizard, sort of, as for, like, the other farming class. Rogues can be used for farming, obviously, but I always think of rogues as being, like, the event class. You know, they're the ones that are going in and they're the ones putting themselves in all the danger to get the events and killing them. You know, they have the best ability. Oh gosh, that's not good. No bueno. I definitely don't want to get confused into a pack of slimes. So, yeah. That's another thing. Even though I'm not like a rogue or anything, I definitely want to keep an eye on my surroundings and make sure I'm not getting confused from behind by one of those guys while I'm trying to kill slimes. But let's see, where was I? Rogues, right. You know, rogues are really, really great for events. They do pretty well with gods as well, because, you know, obviously they're still hiding. It's like fighting mini events, really, except in a lot larger numbers. You know, so they can do it, but to me, it doesn't feel like you're making the most use of the ability if you do use a rogue for pot farming. You know, it just doesn't seem right to me. So I don't generally use rogue for that purpose. Archer, obviously, for me, is another, you know, Archer is my favorite class. It always has been. And I think it's actually pretty decent farming class, just because the piercing really lets you mow down god walls. You know, once you got a decent bow and stuff like that, you can really mow down even god walls and things like that without too much trouble. So the piercing really comes in handy, and as well as that, you have the piercing arrow to paralyze your enemies. You know, so they'll literally just sit there, and you can just back off and select who you want to fight at what time. You know, the Huntress can also do this, but with the coral venom trap thingamajigger, that thing. You know, they have a really good ability now with that. So, and they're really, really cheap too. I haven't actually tried it out myself, but I'm sure, you know, just because it can paralyze now. Before, Huntresses could only just slow. So with the ability to paralyze, they're actually really, really strong. I just haven't given it a chance yet, so it hasn't become my new favorite class. So there is that. Let's see, I started rambling. Let's get back to Necromancer. Let's see here. Now that I've got a good skull, you can see that I've got a majority. I even dropped a few health potions for like an MP potion. And the reason for this is that I can get better heals from my skull than I could from health potions at this point with this skull. You know, from one enemy I can get 100 health, and that is an HP pot right there. And considering that I can get multiple enemies, you know, for every single one of these enemies, I could get 300 health right there if I wanted, just from these 3 enemies alone. Let's see, I think it actually takes out a certain amount of health for their damage, or for their defense rather. But that's not really too much of an issue, you know, since these are really, they're minions, so they don't have too much health to begin, or too much defense to begin with. So there's that. That's why I have more MP than HP. It's always good to carry, I guess, 2 HP pots is a good thing to have, because, you know, you don't have the reliable heals that a priest would have. So if you need like a clutch heal, something really quick, and you know you don't have time, or if you're only fighting like one enemy or something like that, where it just, or if you're out of MP, you know, you've just been quieted for whatever reason, that way having like a backup health pot or 2, it can really save your life, and it'll help you. You know, obviously there's times when you're going to want to Nexus over trying to stay and fight a battle that you definitely can't win. So you really have to be able to pick out those times as well when you're not in a good situation and you're probably not going to win it, so you definitely want a Nexus. But if you're careful and if you're, you know, smart about it, having a health pot or 2 can really be the deciding factor between Nexusing and staying in the fight a little bit longer. So yeah, I definitely recommend carrying around like 1 or 2 health pots, and then having the rest of your inventory be MP pots. Also, quiet is annoying. I'm sure most of you know this already, but if you do get quieted, you definitely want to be careful and make sure that you do note that. Because if you try and drink an MP potion when you're quieted, it'll have no effect come up, and then, you know, it won't do anything. You won't get the MP, and you just wasted an MP pot. So yeah, you definitely want to be careful of that as well. So I'm up to level 15 now. That's really pretty good. I would like to get a staff here. I'm pretty sure if I keep at it, maybe sooner or later. This isn't the kind of mob I wanted to come across, but that's okay. Not too jabby. A little bit more speed on this necromancer couldn't hurt, but I'll survive. Let's see. When I do make a pot farmer, I generally don't roll them. Rolling, for those of you that don't know, it's when you better robe. I'll take it. When you roll, there's an average health, mana, and then all the 6 different stats. All of those have an average amount that you could get. And then you compare that average to what you have, so that you could have better or worse stats. And if you have better, you know, obviously that would be a good roll, and you would want to keep that. And then if you have worse stats, you may want to consider rolling that character, which would just be killing it off and then making a new character. The reason for this is that if you're wanting... when I do roll, the only stat that I really pay attention to is the amount of health, because right now life pots are like 6-7 defense per life pot, and that's pretty spendy, especially if you're still like getting a farmer going or whatever. You know, you have one main, one farmer. So 6-7 defense, that's pretty spendy. If you can get like a plus 10 even roll, then that's, you know, that's 14 defense right there that you could be putting into other stats. So that's why I definitely recommend rolling for a main character. The health, you know, everything else, you know, mana is like 1 def each. Obviously a def is a def, but everything else is going to be right around 1 to a half to, you know, even a quarter def. So health is by far the most expensive, and the one stat that I always pay attention to for that reason alone. As you can see there, I just got 164, bumped me up to full health from just a few enemies, and, you know, just that quick, and I still had, you know, it only uses up 100 MP out of my 200, almost 300 MP. So, you know, I could shoot out 3 of those within a fairly short amount of time, just because my mana would have regened. You know, I have 39 whiz right now, 36 base, and that's really decent whiz. So, yeah, another reason why Necromancer is good for farming. Obviously, I don't recommend melee classes for farming, especially not for your first farming character, or not, if they're not funded, I guess you could say. there's like two different kinds of characters that you can have. If you're already set up in the realm and you have stuff, gear or pots that you could put towards making a farming character, then that would be like a funded character, and you know you get all that definitely widens your range of classes that you could use. But for the most part, I just generally recommend Necromancer just because to me they have the overall best farming capabilities. They have the strength of using a staff, they have the amazing healing abilities that they can use from enemy mobs, and they are a bit squishy being robe classes, but at the same time all of their different stats combined really give them that overall advantage compared to other classes. So let's see, it looks like I maybe have a little bit more to this dungeon. I'll go ahead and try and finish up this dungeon and see if I can get a staff. You know, even if I don't get a staff, I went into here at like level 9 or whatever, something close to that. I'm already level 16 with a lot better gear. You know, it was definitely worth coming into here. And actually, I think I was like level 7-ish. I don't know, this plate might have already been cleared. Yeah, looks like it was. Nope, not quite. Oh, goody. Okay, I'm going ahead. Nexus. Those guys are scary. I don't like them. So, you know, that was obviously a battle that I wasn't going to win, so I made sure to Nexus from, you know, eating a couple health pots. Well, that would have helped. It definitely would not have saved me in that situation. So it's, you know, you really have to know when the best time to Nexus and when is the best time to try and stay a little bit longer and survive. So, let's see. Who am I being pointed to? Ghost King. Ghost Kings really aren't that great. Oh, they're in a cube. That's why. Okay, I'm gonna have to go ahead and get out of here. Let's go find Godlands. Let's see. Not quite Godlands, but I'll take it. Those guys, even the demi-Godlands is what I like to call them. It's just outside of the Godlands. You'll find some really good experience from the mobs, and there's quite a few of them around as well. Cage Kamis, that's what I call them. I'm not sure what Kage Kami. I'm not sure what they're called. They're pretty good for experience as well. You know, they drop a whole bunch of experience, and then those bombs that they throw out, those will give you 50 experience per, and they throw out quite a lot of them. So definitely keep an eye out for those as well. And if you're lucky like Zaranthar, you can get a Paradef from them. So that's awesome as well. So let's see, maybe there'll be a new staff up here at this Cyclops God. We'll see. Really, that's the only thing I'm lacking right now to be a really effective farmer. I have a really good skull. I have a good robe, goodish robe, a good ring. So really, this is a good setup for a farmer. Whenever you make a farmer, you do not want to eat any pots on it, and you don't want to put expensive gear on it. The reason why is that this is purely for farming. You know, you're not putting any of your money into it, so you won't lose anything really when it dies. That's, you know, one of the main reasons that you make a farmer. You're wanting to put everything you get on that farmer straight into your main account, your main character, whatever it is you're wanting to pot up. So yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you do differentiate those two, and that you're not trying to farm these up. You know, okay, well, I just got speed pot. Do I really want to put that on here and waste it, or do I want to put that speed pot onto my main account where it will make good use and it won't die? You know, so you really have to be careful about what you do. There's only like no, there's nothing in there for me. But I'll stay for the experience, I guess. Almost dead. A leather, lots of leather armor. I don't know, I can't really use that, unfortunately. Maybe he'll drop something. No, I don't think he even does drop anything, does he? Because he has a chest. Darn. You know, again, the range that I have being a staff user is huge compared to other classes, because I can do a lot of stuff that like melee or rogue or melee or dagger range classes they just can't do, because I have the superior amount of, what is going on here? Oh, it's okay, it's a hermit. Hermit's a really good experience, but you have to be careful 24/7. I recommend that because well, let's see. Obviously, you're constantly under the, you know, part of the Mystic debate going on here. The Mystic wants to help out by freezing the little baby hermits. That's what I call them. He's helping, but at the same time, we need to kill those off before we go after the tentacles because they're a huge pain. You know, it's really not worth having them around. If you were to mystic them off, stasis them right now, that's when he would be doing the most good. You know, not when we're trying to get the boss out of his little shell. Doesn't look like it dropped anything for me, so it looks like Sentry's got a Juggernaut. Good for him. Juku. Yeah, you can get really, really good experience from these. Not the ponies themselves, but the little baby seahorses, the red ones, those will give you 100 experience each. And there's a whole lot of those little baby seahorses that are spawned from the ponies. So while the ponies are a pain, the seahorses themselves are really good experience. And then, you know, I'm getting, you know, 165 experience per from those big seamen, sea fish people, sea people. I'll call them sea people. It looks like Centuries is going to go ahead and rush for us. Which is good to get to the boss, but I don't want to get to the boss because I have a crappy staff and I can't do a lot of damage, unfortunately. So I'm going to be a pain here and pull a few enemies just to get that little bit of experience in. Yeah, but you know, you can see my air bar is going down pretty rapidly there, so you definitely want to keep an eye out for that. The starting room, the air that you get from there goes up a whole lot faster than it does from any of these other little points. So, yeah, let's see. Go ahead and teleport in here. Let's see. This is a pretty big group. She should die pretty quickly. So I'm gonna see how long I can stay. Okay, I can stay in for as long as I want because of air reasons. Well, and she died, and no drop for me, darn. Yeah, you want to be careful even after she's dead because of those coral bombs and as well as the octopi. But yeah, good experience, good experience. Got me a level up in like a half. And then back out into the Godlands for farming. Hopefully I can find a staff pretty soon here. I'll probably get qualified for Soulbound if I'm careful with my shots here. So I should have a staff in no time. And even if I don't get one myself, so you know, someone, most people when they're out in the Godlands, they'll drop their purple bags for you, just out of habit. So you know, maybe I'll find something on the floor. I never recommend begging or asking for items. You know, even if you say please, I don't recommend it. You know, you'll get items if you go out and play the game. You know, I've played the game from level 1 with nothing, and I'm already up to this. I'm not even level 20 yet. I just need to find a staff. So really, you just need to play the game and enjoy it and have fun. You know, don't just sit around in the Nexus asking for items. You know, you could get some items, but in the long run, when you die with those, you know, what are you gonna do then? You know, you're just kind of out of luck. Let's see. Are people going in? They are. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go in with them. I don't expect this to go anywhere. Oh, there's my level up. Let's see. I don't know what the stats on a Necromancer are, and I don't remember any good stats dropping from here, but I could be wrong. There really isn't much reason for me to be here, since this is for Vitality and like Demon Blades, neither of which I have a very good chance of getting right now. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and duck out of this dungeon, just because I can't. It's not worth the time and effort when I'm trying. You know, this is a pot farmer for me. It's not go get a Vit, which is, you know, the price for that is really, it's dropped down to about 1 def per, whereas it used to be like 1 1/4, 1 1/2. So yeah, you know, this is a pot farmer, so I need to use it for farming potions. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I also need a shiny new staff soon, hopefully. Yeah, I'm not really putting down as much damage as I would like right now. as I was saying earlier about like asking for items, it's not asking for items isn't a bad thing. It's just when you're in the Nexus, just sitting there doing nothing else but asking for items. That's when it not only becomes an annoyance to everyone in the Nexus, but it's you're also like weakening yourself as like a player. You know, go out and play the game, and you'll get better. I promise you'll get better once you start learning the different patterns of the different CODs. You know, you'll be able to dodge them better, you'll be able to react quicker, and overall you'll have more fun. You'll be able to play the game more, and you'll be able to get through more of the game and experience more of it, and you'll be doing it on your own. And when you do die, because death is inevitable, you will die unless you just don't play, you'll be better for it, and you'll be more able to get through it quickly and, you know, get back up to where you were. Once you do get a solid pot farmer going, and once you do get a solid main class going, what I recommend, I don't follow this myself just because I'm stupid, but you want to have a good nest egg of death pots or life pots or whatever stashed away that you don't want to use for farming or for potting, not for farming, but for potting up any characters. You know, once you get like 4-8, I guess you could say, once you get like a 4-8 main character and a pot farmer going, then you're gonna want to start caching a good amount of pots away, so that you have stuff to fall back on in case you do die. You know, I don't do this just because I'm stupid, and I try and put everything into one character, and then I use that one, like, once I get to like 4-8 even, then I'll start using that character, and I'll go out, and then it'll go die, and then I'm back to square one. What you want to do, instead of doing stuff stupid like that, what you want to do is start caching up a bunch of those death pots, and then convert them into like life pots or whatever, just so they don't take up as much room. But you definitely want to have, like, I would recommend roughly 40 defense worth of pots to get you back on your feet. Let's see. Def for, you know, all the classes right now is 25. So that's a lot of defense in itself. But then the other, you know, 14, 16 pots that you'll have, that'll do a huge dent in the other 3 stats. Ooh, I got a dex ring. Okay, not the best ring, but I'll take it. No, I won't. I don't want that over my def. The def is definitely going to do me a lot more good. Take my MP pot back. Thank you very much. Okay, not good. Not a good situation. Okay, not so bad. Okay, now it's not good. Now it's not good. See, now is a good time to have those health pots. You know, I was able to save myself. It was a bit of a sketchy situation, but because I was right next to a large group, I was able to get back and together with them. You know, pulling a heal off of one Leviathan or whatever else, I can't remember what the other mob was with it. But pulling a heal off of one Leviathan won't do me. There you go, there's a staff. Not that much better, but I'll take it. You know, pulling a heal off of one Leviathan is only going to get me about 100 health, and so that really won't heal me as much as I would need at the time. So that's why having, you know, 1 or 2 health pots with you for those dangerous clutch moments is a good idea. So yeah, now that I'm set up, I've got decent gear. You know, I've got a good staff, I've got a good robe, good skull, good ring. I'm really set up for farming right now. I really don't need much else. I don't want to put much else on this, really. Anything more expensive than this. You know, if I find a better staff, you know, like a 1% staff or whatever, then that would be great. But, yeah, or like a Paramount Defense ring or whatever. Let's see. As for rings, I wouldn't recommend MP or Wiz. You know, I'd never recommend Wiz. Especially on staff using robe classes, just because their Wiz is ridiculously high as it is. So yeah, Wiz is a no-go. MP is, you could use that, but you generally don't use your ability that often, so having the extra MP is really, it's just going to be sitting there and going to waste. When something, So yeah, I'm gonna not say what I was gonna say. Instead, I'm gonna move on to a different ring. Let's see, attack. You could use attack. A little bit of attack never hurt. For the most part, though, I wouldn't recommend it really. Just because attack isn't gonna be doing you. You know, you're already putting down decent amount of damage. You're dropping these gods pretty quickly, even by yourself. So having extra attack won't do you too much good. Having extra defense is what I generally recommend for most classes. That'll help you out. You know, it's not helping you out all the time like attack or dexterity. See, that was a bad stasis. Bad right there. Now, this is going to be scary, because who knows where he's going to start shooting. Let's see. Defense is good. Defense good. You know, having that, when you do get hit, you know, you can't dodge everything, unfortunately. Having that extra defense is going to lessen the damage it does, so you won't need to heal quite as often. Speed is, you don't really need speed all that much because you're not really running around too much. If you should be able to dodge really with the 24 speed. That's plenty for me to dodge whatever's coming at me. I don't really need that much more to react as long as I'm being careful and watching out for what's coming at me. I guess a little bit more speed there couldn't hurt, but I don't think it would be worth having a ring for that. Let's see, dexterity. That's alright. But again, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because you are putting out enough damage as it is that you wouldn't really need it. Vitality, right now I wouldn't recommend Vitality. Maybe in the next update, if that does ever come out, when they do buff Vitality. It's supposed to be, at this point, as of June 4th, the Vitality update is not out yet, but soon, hopefully, when the update does come out, it'll like roughly double the effectiveness of Vitality as it is now, and then the stat cap for Vitality will be brought down from like 75 for most classes that it is now down to like 30 or 40, and then only 3 of the classes will have a 75 Vitality stat cap. So yeah, Vitality is getting a very welcome and nice buff. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. When that update does hit, I guess you could use Vitality, but at the same time, because you're using a Necro farmer, you do have awesome heals at hand. Not necessarily at hand, but you do have access to awesome heals. And you can do, way over 200, 250 that a priest would be doing. So you can get some really, really good heals in if you can aim, I guess, is what it really comes down to. If you can aim and if you can get the timing right to pull a bunch of gods or a decent amount of gods, that you can get a worthy use of your ability. And then finally wisdom, but I already covered on that. It's not worth a ring. So yeah, for robe using classes, I would recommend a defense ring out of all of them. I guess, let's see, I guess there's also a health that you could use. Yeah, health or defense is what I would recommend in a long-winded, unnecessary speech on rings. Go for health or defense. And then that's for ring gear. Obviously try and get the best staff, skull, robe that you can get purely from farming. I wouldn't recommend buying any gear whatsoever for a farming class at all. I would recommend buying gear or using any of the stat pots that you do find. Speed pot. I wouldn't recommend using any of that on the character that you have, just because you don't want to feel any pain when this dies. Obviously you'll feel the pain from leveling it up and getting the gear for it. But really, once you do have one decent farmer set up, you can start picking up extra gear. Like, I saw another robe of the illusionist earlier that I just decided to drop because I probably won't be using this class again. for a little bit. But, you know, I could have easily picked that up and vaulted it, and then I would have that in case this one does die, and then I would have that backup robe. I wouldn't have to worry about going through all the pain of leveling up without, you know, some decent gear. Another thing, I don't recommend going to Oryx and Oryx's castle on a pot farmer. It really depends on how dedicated of a pot farmer you want that class to be. Just for me, you know, well, let's see, at this point in time, I don't necessarily need a dedicated pot farmer, so I'm going to go ahead and use this and take it to Oryx's castle and see if I can get, you know, any kind of decent gear there. With the staff that I have now and the gear that I've got on and the level I am at, I am confident that I can get at least soulbound and, you know, get something out of this. You know, really, it's the luck of the draw, but I can at least get my damage in. And it really doesn't take up too terribly much time, but it does take up time, so, yeah. It's just really what you feel you're more comfortable with, and how farmy you need your pot farmer to be. You know, if you really want the pots, then you're just going to keep it out in the Godlands, and you're going to keep it pot farming all the time, and you don't want to be distracted by events or Oryx's castle. So what you would do, instead of going to the castle, you would nexus out and then go to another realm and then start farming off in the Godlands all over again. So yeah, that is how you make a pot farmer. Again, I recommend Necromancer for farming of the bosses, but that's just me. Again, you know, get a feel for the different classes. Play what you want to play, what you have the most fun with. I won't recommend a best class. I've already mentioned that before. I do have my own ideas of what may or may not be the best class, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is. So yeah, you know, use a Necromancer or a Wizard or an Archer or whatever you feel would be best for farming with. And then whatever you have the most fun with is what you should end up potting. You know, whatever you enjoy playing is what you want to put all that hard work into. But, you know, the whole reason to have a pot farmer is so that you can keep that one class safe and you can enjoy whatever it is you want to enjoy to its fullest potential, really. So, yeah, I could have saved him. I'm so sorry, Mr. Priest. Please forgive me. He probably got quieted from a quiet bomb and then couldn't heal. I'm so sorry. You know, that's another great thing about being a Necromancer. You don't have the direct healing capabilities of a priest, but you do have indirect heals. If there's people in between you and the mob that you're pulling a heal off of, then those other people will also get a heal from that. So, you know, you don't have, if you're careful and if you keep an eye out, you'll be able to spot when you can heal others, for sure. Never ever, I wouldn't recommend trying to play this as like a healing class. You know, this is a solo, this is all about you when you're going out farming. You know, you're not being a priest. You don't let people say heal please and then make yourself think that you have to heal them, because you're not a healing class. You're not playing the priest out there, so don't get yourself killed over trying to heal someone. You know, I've done that before, trying to play Necro. You know, you end up playing a game with the other person when you want to get them healed up. You know, so that you would try and get into like a good amount of enemies to try and get the heal, but then at the same time they're low on health, so they're trying to hang back, and so when you pull the heal, they're not in range for the heal to hit them, and then they only get like a little bit of the heal, or they don't even get healed. So yeah, it's just a game when you're trying to heal people as a Necromancer. It's not worth it. So yeah, if you want to heal, ask a priest or a paladin. So yeah, I think I covered everything that I really wanted to cover pretty much. Let's see, yeah, what else could I mention? If you guys want me, I can, you know, this was easy and fun for me to do. So if you guys want me to cover other classes for 1 to 20, for farming, for whatever, I can definitely do that. Just like leave a comment or whatever, and I'll get onto that. I'm lazy, so I haven't been doing like the bigger projects. Like I still have footage I need to edit of a tomb for like a learn to dodge or whatever. I just haven't. I've been lazy and I haven't done that. So yeah, I probably won't end up getting around to that anytime soon. So these quick and simple videos are probably best for me right now. I guess I could do like a tutorial video on setting your options, what I recommend. Obviously I've been playing, I guess another thing I should have mentioned earlier, I have been playing on off-screen, off-centered, from the player, so that I do have a larger range in front of me, but at the same time the range from behind and to the sides is more limited, so I can get snuck up on easier, but at the same time I'm making the most use of the staff. You know, you can see there the shots are actually going maybe even a little bit off the screen, so I'm definitely getting the most use out of the extra range that I can see from. I'm making the most use out of the long distance of the staff. So yeah, definitely for a class like this, I would recommend having that off-centered. I've now just ended up using off-centered for everything, but for the more melee-centric classes, like the heavy armor or even rogues, I guess you could say, all of them, they could really benefit from being centered, just because they don't have as much range, and they're going to want to keep a better eye on their surroundings, more so than I guess like a Necro would. So off-centered they could benefit from. So yeah, you know, really it just comes down to preference. Let's see. Okay, this is sketchy. I probably shouldn't be in here, but am I the only? Yeah, I'm the only one dancing. That's okay. I know how to do this. Let's see. What else? Let's see. There's options for changing the graphic settings to make it a little bit less laggy, I guess you could say, for some people. What do they do? They broke it. Oh no. Let's see. You know, you can turn off the shadows. That helps a lot of people. You can turn off chat bubbles if those get in your way, so that like whenever I type something here, that bubble won't be there. All you'll see is a little scroll right there. So there's that. You know, there's all sorts of options, really. Graphics. The default camera angle, I have it set to 0 degrees right now, which is straight. When you hit the key to go back or whatever, I'll show you in a second. I'd rather not like go into. Oh god. Okay. Go away, horse. You can set it to by default when you hit the button. Ooh, good loot, good loot. Oh yeah. See, that's right now I could be out firing pots, but why do that when I have this and this now? So yeah, again, okay, here's another good example. This is a good robe. You can see it's it's definitely a step up from what I have, but I will not use this robe. I will not use this robe on this pot farmer. This is good. You know, it's not the best, obviously, but this is good. So I want to keep this, and I want to put this on my main class if it were to be a robe using class. That's what I would use this for. Or if I am not using a robe using class, what I would do is I would sell this for more pots. I can't remember how much they are. I think they're actually pretty cheap, like maybe a def, something like that. But still, that's a whole nother def that I can put towards potting up a character. And then the ME Shard dagger, I'm not sure how much those are worth either. But yeah, so if you don't have to have like a dedicated 100% pot farming character, then going to orcs can be beneficial. But at the same time, you know, really it's just whatever you feel is best for you. As far as the graphics options, I like to have mine at 0 because it's straight up and down. What 45 degrees is more of an angled. See, like this would be 0, and then when I have it bound to R to go back to the default. 45 degrees is at this angled direction here instead of straight up and down like this. I prefer this personally, but really it's up to you, whatever you're more comfortable with. And then the centered, you know, obviously I'm not getting nearly as, I can't see, you know, my bullets are probably going out twice as far as they are right now, but you do have better situational awareness, like this. See, like this, I can see that pillar and that pillar, but when I put it to off center, I can see this pillar, you know, I can see more of the pillar, but I can't see this one. So that's, you know, but I do have that longer range, so I can use that to my ability. Tips, I don't need tips, I don't use tips. Shadows, that can be an improvement. Characters have shadows, pets have shadows, all the little bullets have shadows, everything has shadows really. So you turn those off and you can have, you know, it's it'll help you out. Shh. Okay. I always put E at the end, I don't know why. So you can turn shadows on and off. It's a performance issue. For some people it does help. Guild invites, trade requests, those can be turned on and off. I guess those don't really have much help. Yeah, so that's about it, really. Yeah, so I guess that about covers everything for making a pot farming Necro. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, feel free to leave a comment or send me a PM on YouTube, and I will get back at you. Maybe, possibly, kinda. So I will see you guys later. Bye.